Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Young and the Restless channel. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and hit like for more daily drama updates and spoilers. Your support truly means a lot and helps our channel grow every day. Now, let's jump straight into today's exciting update. The Young and the Restless is setting the stage for what could become one of the most shocking turning points in Victor Newman's legendary story, as growing signs suggest that the powerful patriarch may be heading toward a devastating medical emergency capable of changing everything he has built and everything he still hopes to protect. Even in his 80s, Victor remains every bit as determined, fearless, and relentless as ever, refusing to let age slow him down or soften his approach to those he believes have wronged him. Instead of enjoying the victory he fought so hard to reclaim, he seems more consumed than ever by unfinished battles and old grudges that refuse to fade into the past. The Empire may once again be under his control, but peace has become something he simply cannot embrace. Every triumph only seems to fuel another conflict, leaving Victor caught in an endless cycle of revenge that grows more dangerous with each passing day. Rather than celebrating what he has won, he is driven by an overwhelming need to reclaim every single thing he believes was taken from him, no matter the personal cost or the consequences waiting around the corner. After defeating Phyllis Summers and securing Newman Enterprises once again, many expected Victor to finally take a step back and enjoy the satisfaction of victory. Instead, the moment barely seemed to register before his attention shifted toward another target. His latest obsession has become Sally Spectra and Spectra Charles Communication, despite the fact that Sally herself never stole Newman Media from him in the first place. From Victor's perspective, however, the details hardly matter. Seeing what he still considers his company handed over to Sally and absorbed into Spectra Charles continues to burn like an open wound that refuses to heal. The perceived injustice has become another chapter in the long list of betrayals he believes must be corrected, and once Victor decides that someone belongs on his list of enemies, walking away is almost never an option. His determination has transformed into an all-consuming mission, proving once again that revenge has become more important to him than the satisfaction of any victory he has already achieved. Those closest to Victor have tried desperately to make him reconsider, recognizing that this particular battle could create unnecessary damage for everyone involved. Adam Newman urged caution. Chelsea Lawson saw no benefit in escalating another conflict. Even Nick Newman, who knows his father better than almost anyone, warned him against targeting Sally, especially considering that she is heavily pregnant. Their concerns were reasonable, compassionate, and grounded in common sense, but Victor has never been known for allowing advice to change his mind once he has chosen a course of action. His stubborn determination has defined him throughout his entire life, and once again, he refused to listen to the people who care about him most. Their warnings simply became background noise as Victor continued marching toward yet another confrontation, convinced that only he understands what justice truly looks like. That determination became unmistakably clear during the Thursday, July 16th episode, when Sally arrived to meet Victor alongside Audra Charles. Rather than provoking another ugly confrontation, the two women approached him with professionalism and restraint, presenting what most would consider a fair and reasonable compromise. They offered to sell Newman Media back for a fair market price, creating an opportunity for everyone involved to finally end the exhausting legal and personal battles before even more money, energy, and relationships were destroyed. It was a practical solution that could have allowed everyone to move forward with dignity while preventing an even larger war from consuming them all. For a brief moment, it seemed as though Victor had been handed the perfect opportunity to choose peace over conflict. Yet in classic Victor Newman fashion, he calmly rejected the offer without hesitation, admitting that he actually enjoys a good fight. His words made it painfully clear that this was never simply about business, because for Victor, the battle itself has become just as important as the prize waiting at the end. As if that single conflict were not enough, Victor has also begun turning his attention toward Chancellor Industries, another situation that reveals just how impossible it has become for him to let go of the past. Ironically, he willingly handed the company over to Lily Winters, making the decision entirely on his own terms. Yet circumstances have changed in ways he clearly cannot accept. Lily's decision to bring Kane Ashby back to lead the company reopened old wounds that Victor has never managed to heal, especially since Kane remains one of his most bitter rivals. Adding even more fuel to Victor's frustration is the hiring of Billy Abbott, another longtime adversary whose involvement only deepens Victor's resentment. Every move being made inside Chancellor Industries feels like another personal insult, convincing Victor that what he once willingly surrendered must somehow become his once again. Instead of allowing the company to evolve without him, he finds himself being pulled back into another exhausting war against familiar enemies. Meanwhile, Victor's campaign against Kane continues through another dangerous strategy involving Matt Clark, proving that even while juggling multiple personal battles, he refuses to abandon any of his carefully planned schemes. Yet as these revenge plots continue unfolding, another crisis quietly develops much closer to home. Nikki Newman is facing an incredibly difficult battle with worsening vision loss, forcing her to confront fears and uncertainties that no amount of wealth or power can erase. Victor desperately wants to repair their fractured relationship, and Nikki clearly longs for that reunion as well. However, emotional healing cannot happen without accountability. Nikki needs Victor to acknowledge the pain he caused by bringing Patty Williams back into town and to sincerely express remorse for the devastating consequences that followed. Those wounds remain painfully fresh because Patty nearly killed both Jack Abbott and his wife Diane Abbott before ultimately orchestrating Diane's terrifying kidnapping. Until Victor fully accepts responsibility for the chaos he helped unleash, Nikki finds herself unable to completely lower the emotional walls protecting her heart. Watching Victor carry the weight of so many battles at once raises an unavoidable and deeply troubling question. For a man in his 80s, can anyone truly withstand this level of relentless stress without eventually paying a terrible price? Every day seems filled with another confrontation, another enemy to defeat, another plan to execute, and another score to settle. Instead of allowing himself moments of peace, Victor continues feeding his anger, determination, and resentment, pushing both his body and mind far beyond what anyone should reasonably endure. The emotional burden alone would be overwhelming for someone half his age, making it increasingly difficult to ignore the possibility that his health may soon begin reflecting the enormous pressure he places upon himself. Whether it arrives in the form of a heart attack, a stroke, or another unexpected medical emergency, the warning signs seem to be quietly building beneath the surface as Victor refuses to slow down. The strain becomes even more apparent when considering just how many fronts Victor is fighting simultaneously. One scheme would be enough to consume most people, yet Victor seems determined to manage several at the same time, with nearly every plan centered around retaliation against those he considers enemies. At the same time, his complicated relationship with Nikki remains trapped in a familiar cycle that longtime fans know all too well. Every step forward seems to be followed by several painful steps backward, leaving hope constantly colliding with heartbreak. Despite the setbacks, the emotional connection between Victor and Nikki has never truly disappeared, and viewers know that their love story has survived countless storms before. If Victor were suddenly faced with a life-threatening medical crisis, that frightening moment could become the emotional wake-up call both of them desperately need. Sometimes it takes the possibility of losing someone forever to finally recognize what truly matters. For devoted fans, the possibility of another reunion between Victor and Nikki hardly feels surprising because history has shown that this iconic couple always seems destined to find their way back to one another. Time after time, they separate under the weight of betrayal, pride, and impossible circumstances, only to eventually rediscover the love that has defined them for decades. Yet this reunion could arrive under dramatically different conditions if Victor's health suddenly begins to fail. A brush with mortality has a way of changing priorities, silencing old grudges, and forcing even the strongest personalities to confront painful truths they have spent years avoiding. If Victor finally realizes that holding on to endless bitterness has been slowly destroying both his happiness and his health, the experience could permanently alter the course of his future. The Young and the Restless spoilers strongly suggest that the enormous amount of anger and animosity Victor continues carrying cannot be without consequences, leaving viewers wondering whether an approaching medical disaster will finally force the legendary Newman patriarch to see life through an entirely different perspective before it is too late.